Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Now we are going to discuss basic trigonometric equations. When we say basic trigonometric equations, they are about simple trigonometric ratios equal to some other value, and we have to learn the relationship between basic angle and positive angle or negative angle, and the sign of a trigonometric ratio is to be considered with respect to the quadrant in which that ratio lies. Um, so it does not depend that what angle is it, but we have to convert every ratio in the quadrant, and then we will decide whether it is positive or negative or what angle is there. So these are the basic concepts which we require for it, that a reference angle so far we consider, or basic angle. Now we will consider it as alpha, and positive angle as theta. Not necessary always to be theta or alpha, but now for just for the discussion, we in order to have difference between them, we will consider like this. Now sine alpha or equal to k, or cos alpha is equal to that constant value, or tangent alpha is equal to that constant value, then they are all positive. And the reason is that reference angle or basic angle alpha, that is always acute angle. Okay. Now the second thing what we have to keep in mind while before doing the questions about it, that if this is positive x, then cos theta, all the values of cos theta in first quadrant or in the fourth quadrant, all over this region in first and fourth quadrant, cos theta is positive. What is the range of angle for first quadrant? This is 0 to 90 degrees, and this one is 270 to 360 degrees. So if angle is in these ranges, then cos theta is positive, and if there is a negative angle falling in this quadrant or this quadrant, even then it will be positive. And if cos theta is negative, then it must be in the other quadrants, like on this side, cos theta will be negative. That means if angle is between 0 and 90 to 270, from 90 to 270, cos theta will be negative. This is what we have to keep in mind. Second, about sine theta. Sine, as we have already discussed, that sine theta is positive above x-axis. This is the range of angle 0 to 180 degrees. Sine theta will be positive. And the reason is that y is positive here, and in this region sine theta will be negative, and the reason is that y is negative. So angle in these two quadrants, that will be 180 to 360 degrees. For this range of angle, sine theta is negative. And now tangent theta, we have already discussed that tangent theta is positive where gradient is positive. So tangent is positive in this quadrant and in this quadrant. And the gradient is negative in these two quadrants. So tangent theta is negative in second and fourth quadrant. And the angle, range of angle for which tangent theta is positive. So positive tangent theta is there when angle is between 0 and 90, or it is 180 to 270. 0 to 90, this is first quadrant and this is third quadrant. On the other side, negative tangent theta, it is negative when theta is between 0 and 180, or 270 to 360 degrees. So this is the way we have to consider the angles. And now we will move to the questions, how they are applied in questions, so that we can easily understand that how these concepts are used. So initially we use, without using calculator, this is the question, determine whether the following trigonometric ratios are positive or negative. Now sine 230 degrees, is it positive or negative? How will we decide? We'll consider on a grid. Where is this angle? 180 plus 50. This angle, that means this is sine equal to sine 50. This is 50 degrees here in third quadrant. So this is the way you can decide that sine 230 degrees means sine 50 degrees in third quadrant. Now what is the sign of sine theta? As we have discussed here, that sine is positive between 0 and 180. And in these two quadrants, sine is positive here in first quadrant and the second quadrant. Sine is positive. And in third and fourth quadrant, sine is negative. So where does this basic angle fall? This one. This is in third quadrant. So sine is negative in third quadrant. So that is equal to minus sine theta, sine 50 degrees. So as it is asked to decide whether it is positive or negative, not necessary to go for all these details. I have written this just to explain. Otherwise, simply you can see that this angle is more than 180 degrees. That is, this angle is in third quadrant and sine is negative in third quadrant. This is the way you can decide. Now second question, cos 140 degrees. Where, in which quadrant does this angle fall? For cos, this is more than 90 and less than 180 degrees. So that means this is in second quadrant. This is 140 degrees in second quadrant. So cos is positive in first two quadrants. So this is in third quadrant, then this must be negative. Cos theta is negative here. Now the next, tangent 215 degrees. In which quadrant is it? This is more than 180. It is somewhere over here, 35 degrees. In third quadrant, you can see that the gradient is positive. Therefore, tangent 215 degrees, that will be positive. So this is the way you can decide. Now I have another question. For each of the following conditions, determine the quadrant or possible quadrants. Tangent theta is greater than 0. That means tangent theta is positive. In which quadrant tangent theta is positive? That is first and third. These are possible quadrants where tangent may be for greater than 0. Now second part is cos theta is greater than 0 and sin theta is less than 0. At a time sin is negative and cos is positive. Which quadrants are there where cos is positive? Cos is positive here and here in these two quadrants. And the reason is that x is positive here. Now sin is negative. Sin is positive here. So sin is negative in this quadrant because there is below horizontal line. So below horizontal line sin is negative. So this is the quadrant where at a time sin theta is positive, sin theta is greater than 0 means positive, sin theta is negative. Cos theta is positive, sin theta is negative. So this is the quadrant that is fourth. This is only one quadrant in which they have these signs. Now next part that says cos theta and tangent theta are of the same sign, are of same signs. Now how is it same sign? Cos theta is positive here and tangent theta is also positive here. So same sign, this is one of the quadrants. Cos theta is negative here and tangent theta is also negative here. So this is the other quadrant. So here, tangent theta is positive, but cos theta is negative. Here, cos theta is positive and tangent theta is negative. So in these two quadrants, below x-axis, they have their opposite signs. But in first and second quadrant, first and second quadrant, they have same signs. They means cos theta and tangent theta. Same signs. Now, I am repeatedly telling that how do we decide about cos? On the right hand side of y-axis, cos is positive, and on the left hand side cos is negative. And tangent is positive where gradient is positive, and tangent is negative where gradient is negative. So in first and second quadrant they have same signs. Sin theta and tangent theta are of opposite signs. Sin theta and tangent theta are of opposite signs. Once again, sin, that is positive above x-axis. So sin theta is positive here and here. In these two quadrants, sin theta is positive and sin is negative in this quadrant and in this quadrant. And the reason I will repeat that where y is positive, sin is positive. Here below x-axis, y is negative, that is the reason sin theta is negative. Now tangent theta is positive here and here. And the reason is that the gradient is positive and tangent is negative here and negative here. Now which two quadrants where they have opposite signs? So this is one of the quadrants. Second quadrant, sin is positive and tangent is negative. And the other one is here, that third quadrant where tangent is positive and sine is negative. So second and third quadrants where sine theta and tangent theta have opposite signs. So this is the way we can understand that how to consider the quadrants and their signs. Okay, now we will discuss few more things. Now, here without using calculator, if we don't use calculator and just I remind you that special angles I asked you to make such triangles 1, 2, and this will be under root 3. This angle is 30 degrees and this is 60. And another triangle, if this angle is 45, this is also 45. These ratios are 1, 1, and this is under root 2. I have discussed special angles in another video. You can refer to that if you want, if you don't understand this now. Okay, so now without using calculator, evaluate tangent 300. Tangent 300 degrees. This is very important how to consider these values. So in all such cases of positive or negative angles, you have to convert them into basic angle or reference angle in a way that you have to mention in which quadrant do they fall. So 300, that is here. This positive angle is 300 and its reference angle will be 60 degrees. So you can write it that tangent 60 degrees in fourth quadrant. Then in the next step, once you understand that it is in fourth quadrant, so it will be negative tangent 60 degrees because tangent is negative in fourth quadrant. So this is negative 60 degrees tangent. This is 60 degrees opposite over adjacent under root 3 over 1. So you can see that without using calculator we can find its value. Cos 330 degrees. Now I write it here, cos 330 degrees. That is, if I make the figure, 330 will be this much, 330 degrees. Then its reference angle or basic angle is 30 degrees. So we can write it cos 30 degrees in fourth quadrant. So 30 degrees in fourth quadrant, what is it? That is on right hand side of y-axis where x is positive on this side. So this will be positive cos 30 degrees. Now the value of cos 30 degrees we can find from here. You can see that this is 30 adjacent over hypotenuse. So that will be under root 3 over 2. Solving without using calculator and this type of conversion, that is the basic concept of trigonometry. So it's very important to practice such things because without having these concepts it becomes very difficult for you to understand, because only calculator cannot help you. Calculator cannot tell you that which quadrant does it lie in. So this is very important to learn these basic things. Now this is sine 150 degrees. 150 degrees, where is it? It is less than 180, so this is 150 degrees, this is 30 degrees. Whenever there are such values, you must draw this figure so that you can have clear idea about the relationship between positive and basic angles or negative angles. So sine 30 degrees, this is equal to sine 30 degrees in second quadrant. What is sine in second quadrant? That is positive sine 30 degrees. So once we use this sign, negative or positive, then there is not needed to write these words that in which quadrant does it lie. So sine 30, its value with reference to the same figure, that is 1 upon 2. Okay. Tangent minus 120 degrees. Tangent minus 120 degrees. So whatever is it, negative or positive, but you have to decide which quadrant is it in and what is its basic angle. This is 120 degrees negative. It is moving clockwise. This is clockwise, starting from same positive x-axis. So its basic angle is 60 degrees. So we write it as equal to tangent 60 degrees in third quadrant. What is the sign of tangent in third quadrant? That is positive tangent 60 degrees, and its value is under root 3. So this is the way we can understand now. Further, if theta is acute and cos theta is 4 over 5, theta is acute, cos theta is equal to 4 over 5. Actually, I am writing these questions from a book. So theta is acute. Okay, I think I should draw it with reference to the grid. Acute angle means first quadrant. Theta is acute, that means first quadrant. So here this is adjacent and this is hypotenuse. Then applying Pythagoras theorem, we can easily find that this is 3. This is theta. Okay, find the value of sine theta and tangent theta. You know, in the first quadrant, this will also be positive. Hypotenuse, remember that hypotenuse will always be positive. So the signs which you have to decide, that is adjacent and opposite. These are positive. So sine theta with reference to this figure, that is 3 upon 5. And tangent theta, one thing that you can notice that this line has positive gradient, and secondly both opposite and adjacent are positive, so it will be positive 3 upon 4. Okay, now next it says A is an obtuse angle. A is an obtuse angle. What does obtuse mean? Second quadrant. Obtuse, is an angle more than 90 and less than 180. So this time A is obtuse angle in the second quadrant, and tangent A is equal to minus 1 upon 2. Tangent A equal to minus 1 upon 2. That is opposite is 1 and adjacent is 2. This way. This is 2, this is 1. So this negative sign, how will justify this negative sign with this information? You know, x is negative on this side, but upwards y is positive. So 1 is positive and 2 is negative. And applying Pythagoras theorem, you can easily find that this value will be under root 5. Once again, I am telling that the hypotenuse will always be positive. So now what we have to find, cos A and sin A. Cos A, that is adjacent over hypotenuse. And sin A is 1 upon under root 5. You can see that it was second quadrant, sine is positive in second quadrant, and cos is negative. And the reason is that on the left hand side, for all the values on left hand side in second and for third quadrant, cos will remain negative, whereas above x-axis sine remains positive. Okay, I want to do one or more two more questions of the same type. Sin A next is sin A is equal to minus 5 over 13, minus 5 upon 13, where A lies between 180 and 270. A lies between 180 and 270. What does it mean? That this is third quadrant. So let's make an angle in third quadrant. This way is between more than 180 here and less than 270 here. So that means it is somewhere over here, in a way that this is 5, opposite. Opposite is 5, opposite over hypotenuse. This is 5, this is 13, this is always positive, and you know downwards values of y are negative, this is negative. Now applying Pythagoras theorem, you can easily find that this length is 12 till here. Now what should the sign of this value be? That must be negative because x is negative on this side. Okay, find the value of tangent A and cos minus A. Tangent A is equal to opposite over adjacent minus 5 over minus 12. Since both of them are negative, signs are cancelled. So this value is 5 over 12. Cos minus A. We had done these identities of negative angles separately in a video. You can refer to that cos negative A is equal to cos A. So cos A is equal to, this angle is A, minus 12 over 13. So this is minus 12 over 13, adjacent over hypotenuse. So these are the angles. Now find all the angles such that, now if value is given, cos x equal to minus 0.71. Okay, this time values are given and we have to find the angle, and the range of x is It may be any value between 0 and 360 degrees. So first of all, we should decide, looking at this, you have to decide in this way considering two separate values. This is the most important topic so far, the most important concept so far. How is it? This negative sign, it tells you that which quadrant is there in which uh, it lies, cos x. Value of cos x is negative. Cos x negative. So just draw a grid like this and decide which quadrants are there where cos is negative. So you know how do we decide, looking at the sign of x. Sign is negative on this side and positive on this side. So cos lies on a side where there is negative x. So negative x means it may be here or here. This will be the value of alpha. And what is the value of alpha? We will decide from here. So the role of this negative sign is over so far, because this told us that it lies in third or second or third quadrant. This negative sign for cos x tells us that alpha lies in second quadrant or third quadrant. This is what this negative sign has told us. So what will we do? That x is equal to cos inverse. Have you noticed one thing? That we have not considered this negative here. And the reason is that we just want to know this value of reference angle. Or you can say that we want to know the value of alpha. So this will be cos inverse 0.71. So using calculator, shift cos 0.71, that gives us 44.76 or 77. So the value of alpha is 44.77 degrees. What does it mean? That this reference angle, this basic angle, this angle is 44.77 or this angle is 44.77. This is the value of alpha, basic angle. We have to give the value of x in this domain, 0 to 360. Now, if it is 44.77 here, then what should be this angle? That will be 180 minus answer. Its value is 135.23. So x is equal to 135.23 degrees. And the other angle, that will be 224.77. That is the value of this angle. That means from here till this line, these are two possible angles within that given domain. So rounding off to one decimal place, or three significant figures. This is 135 and this will be 245 degrees. So you can round off the final answers, but not these values. I will do one or two more questions of this concept. Then I hope you will clearly understand what does it mean. Now, second part here, that is tangent x equal to 1.732 positive. Now, this positive sign, what is it telling us? That x lies between, lies in which two quadrants does it lie in? Positive tangent is always in first quadrant and third quadrant. In first or third quadrant. Now we have to find the basic angle. Alpha is equal to 60 degrees. So what is the value of x? In the first quadrant, alpha is equal to x. They are same in first quadrant. So that will be 60 degrees. And in third quadrant, x is equal to 180 plus alpha. So adding 180 to this basic angle, that will be 240 degrees. So this is the way we can find the possible values of angles. There are many more things, many more concepts. So far, we have discussed only very basic things, very basic concept, how to decide about angles in different quadrants. If the value of a ratio is given and if angle is given, then how do we find the quadrant? So and this is very, very important. So you have to focus on it. Then you can understand the next concepts. So wish you all the best. Allah Hafiz.